Something smaller than a grain of rice can put your entire life at risk. Under the right conditions, a microscopic blockage is enough to stop the flow of life-sustaining fluid in minutes. Heart attacks rarely involve the heart suddenly breaking or stopping without any warning. For someone like Jake, a 48-year-old walking to his car, the onset is subtle. It starts as a strange pressure in the middle of his chest, not a sharp pain, but a sensation like a heavy belt slowly tightening around his ribs. Soon, a dull ache spreads into his jaw and left arm. Because these signs feel mild, many people mistake the emergency for indigestion and delay seeking help. While they wait, a violent, microscopic battle is already raging deep inside the body. Understanding this crisis requires looking past the heart muscle and into the microscopic plumbing that feeds it, the coronary arteries. This diagram shows the interior of a healthy coronary artery, mapped against a timeline covering decades of a person's life. Over many years, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and smoking deposit fat and other materials against the artery walls. This creates a textured plaque, similar to rust accumulating inside an old water pipe. This buildup happens in total silence. A person can live for decades with zero symptoms, completely unaware that their supply lines are narrowing to a fraction of their original size. The countdown begins at minute 0, the exact moment a piece of that unstable plaque suddenly cracks open. Your body detects the rupture and misinterprets it as a standard injury. To stop the perceived bleeding, it aggressively sticks platelets together to form a protective clot. On a cut in the skin, a clot is life-saving, but inside a severely narrowed artery, the clot becomes a lethal barricade that overcorrects for the injury. This split screen illustrates the fluid dynamics of the blockage. On the left, a wide pipe allows fluid to move freely. On the right, the pipe is pinched shut, showing how the clot completely shuts off the flow of oxygenated blood. A heart attack is a rapid plumbing failure that abruptly terminates the heart's vital fuel supply. With the pipeline blocked, the heart muscle cells downstream enter a state of immediate oxygen deprivation. Much like a factory losing power, the muscle cells begin to slow down and struggle to produce energy. Production falls as the machinery of the cell becomes increasingly stressed. Without a restored oxygen supply, these cells quickly die. Heart tissue lacks the ability to regenerate, meaning any cell death caused by the blockage is permanent. This irreversible loss of tissue is why doctors live by the mantra, "Time is muscle." Every passing minute correlates to the permanent destruction of cardiac tissue. As cells die, they trigger a secondary complication by damaging the heart's electrical system. Normally, electrical signals travel in a smooth, rhythmic pattern to coordinate each squeeze of the heart. As we see here, those signals now hit patches of dead muscle tissue, which physically interrupts them and scatters the pulses in random directions. The heart begins beating erratically. It pumps too fast or too weakly to move blood to the brain and the rest of the body. The sudden collapse often seen in a heart attack is the result of a massive electrical blackout triggered by the initial plumbing blockage. Calling emergency services at the very first sign of unusual pressure stops the biological countdown. Immediate medical intervention allows doctors to physically reopen the blocked artery, restoring blood flow before the struggling muscle cells reach the point of permanent death. A heart attack represents the climax of a decades-long timeline, a timeline that can be actively altered before the rupture occurs. This abstract flow model shows optimal arterial health. Brisk daily walks, a diet of whole foods, and consistent sleep act as mechanical tools that keep the biological supply chain clear of debris and wide enough for high-speed flow. Tracking medical metrics like blood pressure and cholesterol provides a way to monitor this invisible timeline long before a plaque rupture ever has a chance to happen. Protecting your heart relies on making consistent choices to maintain your arteries and having the vigilance to act immediately the second a warning sign appears.